why party at the end of the week, or we can party on a Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back again with another episode of Party on a Podcast. I have quite the legendary Canadian artist with me right now, and I think that it almost underestimates the capabilities of this guy. I met him, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, overseas. It took me going overseas to meet another Canadian artist, and I find that quite funny. But without further ado, this guy is not only a rapper, an author, but also a motivational speaker and just a humble, very humble dude. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dio Gibson in the house.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me on, my man. I actually thought the first time we met was in Nova Scotia. Maybe I had it wrong. You know, we travel so much.
We could have.
I remember seeing you out in Truro at
Music Week.
Nova Scotia Music Week.
Yeah. And, was that before?
I believe it was before.
Okay,
I mean,
maybe I'm wrong.
I could be wrong at the same time too. Yeah. Different places, but either way, I just remember seeing your professionalism there. So, and then in Netherlands as well. So, true. Wherever we connect.
Well, we reconnected one place or the other. So, I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, it was dope that I got to be able to meet up with you multiple times over the years. I think the last one that I saw you at was Power Summit, actually.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
that was great to have you come out to that.
Yeah, it was dope coming out because I mean I got to do it on my own kind of deal because I didn't travel with anybody. I just kind of took the trip on my own, get to take it in, and it's a great I want to say festival. I think it's more of a conference though, correct?
Yeah, it's more of a conference, and I think especially with a conference, it is great to travel alone because it really forces you to step outside of your comfort zone. I find at least a lot of artists are more introverted. That when you get on the stage, you can be animated, but that's why like you can be animated at a festival. But then when you're at a conference, as much as you have to showcase, you have to go and connect with people. And if you're just hanging out with your own group of friends, maybe you're not maximizing the opportunity. So that's why I felt that like I never felt comfortable the first few times when I went by myself, but then I was like, what am I going to do? Just stand at the wall by myself, you know?
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, man. So, I mean, we're just getting into things here. So this is just the breaking the ice here. But what I like to do with most artists, most individuals, creators, creatives that I have on this show, I like to do a little deep dive to begin the whole thing, the origin story of you. Because I think what I've decided or what I've found with this podcast is that I like to find out more about the artist than just the artist, because the rolling subject is we always see each other at shows. We always talk about collaborating, and that's it. That's all we ever do at shows. That's the only altercation, or not altercation, but that's the only interaction that we have at shows. And I finally found a platform that allows me to dig deeper and actually get to know you for you than just Dio.
Right.
I get to find out who Dwayne Gibson is.
For sure.
So what is the origin story for Mr. Dio Gibson? Where did Dio start, I guess?
Yeah, it's like where do you ever start? Spots, but I'd say for me it was I grew up on the border to United States, and I think that's a big part of my origin story, whether it was in Sault Ste. Marie in Northern Ontario or Sarnia, Ontario, closer down south in Ontario. But the reason why I say that is because crossing the border was a big way to access hip hop in the 90s. Whereas when I came to Toronto throughout the 90s and even late 90s, if you wanted to buy music, sometimes there was the import only sticker, which meant that CD would be $29.99, or that cassette tape would be $18.99, which was just crazy. Yeah. Whereas going to the United States, stuff just seemed so cheap and accessible. So it also meant that I wasn't around other rappers in Sault Ste. Marie, but I would be freestyling by myself. And then when I moved to Sarnia, I was able to listen to Detroit radio. WJLB 97
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
And so that was a key thing for me because again, in Toronto, while they would listen into Buffalo radio, so they didn't have flow yet.
Right.
And for me, it was just being able to tune into that radio station. And then eventually I got my parents one day to drive me to Detroit. Okay, the hip hop shop from Eminem's 8 Mile, where they would do the battles, but this is before that stuff. So for me, it was listening to people in the back there, just 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, freestyling with 40 ounces in her hand, but just being able to listen and say, I think I can do that on that level. And to me, that was a big thing because without YouTube and without the web, taking over, you really didn't know how good you were. And so I think as Canadians, especially in early Canadian hip hop from the 90s to the early 2000s, you compared yourself to Americans. And and so I think, and also especially being Detroit, they kind of have a chip on your shoulder coming from Michigan because you're not from New York and you're not from California and there was no Eminem yet. So so you had that kind of chip on your shoulder, and me and my friends started making hip hop and started making mix CDs and selling them around and just developing from there.
That's definitely the most in-depth story that I think I've heard as far as the origin story goes. I mean, and it's dope because I mean, who's to say that anybody will ever have that? Nobody's ever gonna have that same story. That's your story, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it's dope to just dive into those kind of things. So when you say stuff like that, inspirations is usually a big factor in who we are as musicians, artists, creatives. Who were your inspirations then versus now? Have they changed? And if they've changed, why do you think that is?
I think around that time where I was coming up, I love Nas, but I love Wu-Tang. And I think me and my friends, we compared ourselves to Wu-Tang in the sense that we wanted to stick out and be different and sound different and not follow other trends of other people. And to me, that was such a key thing with hip hop from there. And to not want to go and sell out, quote unquote. I was going to university too at the same time. And while I took English, I would also take African-American music from post-World War II. And I would write papers on, conscious hip hop versus like Mace and Puff Daddy.
Right.
Because I wanted to be more, but I didn't want to just be an underground artist. I was also a big fan of people like Biggie. And what I loved about Biggie was on the song Kick in the Door and how he would talk about mad rappers, because to me, he was the perfect way to fuse just real rap skills, but also make it palatable and commercial. Right. Because one of the things that was important for me was I grew up in a house party era. That like when you went to a party and you have a CD, you want to be able to put that CD on and you don't want to take it out and change it after one song. But I love those albums that you could put on and just play from beginning to end. And they would hit everybody, like whether you were the girl who just liked to party and dance or whether you were the hip hop head guy. And so people like Biggie and even Wu-Tang would still go down, but like the Fugees were also a big influence on me back then too, because of that same reason.
Of course. So have those changed now as far as like you, because I know your lane's a little bit different now when your focus has definitely changed, but have the inspirations changed since then?
I don't think the inspirations completely changed, but I think it's important to grow and listen. And I find that, sometimes people will say, this is hip hop and this isn't hip hop. And I'm like, who are you to judge? So like, because I go to schools and I talk to kids, it's like, I love those end of the shows where I say, who are you listening to? And then I also follow it up with, what do you like about them? Right. Because I might not understand exactly where they're coming from. Right. Like that young artist, but I want to know what somebody likes about them. And so I saw the other day, somebody was comparing DaBaby to, he's the new Ludacris.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. But then I thought, you know what? Maybe that does fit. Because for this new generation, he can be kind of like that new Ludacris. So
definitely, I definitely get it. I mean, I heard that argument about the whole Ludacris to Baby, and I get like the articulation and the cadences that they carry as artists. They're game changing, if anything, and ways of standing out as individuals, as opposed to getting sucked into the mainstream or into just that cesspool of one rapper sound or that one trap sound or one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. If you were to define your sound as an artist, what would you call it?
Yeah. And, I used to define it when it was Art of Fresh as butterfat boom bap. So good way to put it. But I also consider it Fresh Prince meets Tupac meets Busta Rhymes. Okay. And the reason why I say that is because Fresh Prince, Will Smith was one of my early inspirations. You know, listening to DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and I loved his storytelling. And what I also loved was that he didn't swear, because of the fact that if I was playing music in the car, my parents aren't going to let me listen to swears. Like
I was the same way,
right? Yeah. With Naughty by Nature, like as much as people thought that they made pop music, I mean, their records were all over the place, and I love that too. But I also liken it to Tupac, because what I love about Tupac is that he did have a conscious aspect to his music. And it wasn't beat you over the head consciousness, but his first 3 singles, he's talking about teenage pregnancy with Brenda and a Baby. He's talking about police brutality with Trapped. He's talking about single mothers with Keep Your Head Up. And so while some people just think of him as this party rapper, he had a lot of other dimensions to him. And then that third one I said is Busta Rhymes, because what I love about Busta is he plays with his flow and dances around with it. And what I tried to do with my rapping in my career is to evolve and to try to change, and to also try to give a full aspect of who I am as an artist.
Right.
To me, that's an important thing with how I want to present myself. I don't want to just be a conscious rapper and just rap conscious. And I don't want to just be a party rapper. So I think it's reflected in the music that release and come out. I mean, I came out with a song this year called Black 365, and it talked about Black. So it's more of a conscious song. I came out with a song called Powerful, which is more of a storytelling song. And then I came out with a song called GOAT, Greatest of All Time. So that's more of a cocky, but Busta Rhymes song. Exactly. And to me, it's all who I am. It's not jumping on a new trend of somebody else. But I just try to be authentic to who I am myself and where I'm at in my career and where I'm at in my life.
Fair enough. And yeah, I think that does speak volumes, because I mean, when I listen to your music as opposed to listening to, say, like even Mitchell Bailey or artists, even Classified, like everybody, each one of you have your own individual sounds and styles, but you hit different songs the way that they should.
Right.
And not just because of who you are, but just that's the way that song needs to be told or sung or rapped or however you are performing it. It's just, it's nice to see that you've stuck to your roots and stuck to who you are when it comes to that kind of, like, you've adapted, but you've maintained your style the entire way through.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and I think you learn that also from collaborating with other artists. We were talking about that in the beginning part. In that sense, is like I made a whole album with Classified, and so being out at his studio and seeing his work process and seeing how he approaches music and how he's approached his career and watching him on stage and touring with him, you know, that influences you. But it doesn't just make me say, I gotta sound like Classified, or with Mitchell Bailey being a younger artist and watching how he maneuvers and flows. But when I do a song with him, you you want to be yourself on the track. And
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when artists are more in their emerging stage, they're not as clear with their direction of how they want to sound and how they want to present themselves.
Fair. Definitely fair. And yeah, I think that does speak volumes into the sense of Classified versus Mitchell Bailey. Not to compare in any way, shape, or form, but just as far as status goes, it definitely makes sense. So
yeah, and it goes with the different times of hip hop, where
of course, yeah,
you know what I mean. But like, it would sound weird to me hearing Class be flowing like that on a track like Mitchell or like that. And likewise, it would seem forced for Mitchell to sound like that too. And I think
exactly.
to me is the key word is you never want to sound forced. And me being a freestyler by nature, freestyling to me is just about just truthful expression and just coming out with it, and not overthinking things. So that's always been really important to me.
Yeah, respect to that, because I've tried that whole freestyle thing, and I think I gravitate a lot more to songwriting, just that side of it. I've tried it. I've been tried it. It's just it's not my game, you know. So
you're not hip hop if you can't freestyle. People say things like that. It's like not like what, like, that's why, to take it to like somebody like Eminem. I love Eminem because he's an incredible freestyler, but he's an incredible songwriter. And he's somebody who will say, no, I don't just freestyle my lyrics. Like, I will have my rhyme book out and cross off words and put words in the spaces and rewrite songs and do that. And to me, that's what I love about songwriting is discipline. It is
100%
being real with yourself and saying, can I make this better? Is this word in here? Do I have to take that out? And and that's why I love collaborating and working with producers, because working with Classified, for instance, to me, it's not sometimes what a rapper says, but it's those words they don't say. Like, when I'm recording these, like, D, maybe just take this word out, and it would flow so much better. So it's such a key.
Yeah, definitely. I've been there too, for sure. It's just it's a matter of getting that outside opinion that's not overstepping the creative boundaries, like not impeding on your creativity, but just giving you an outside look. So I like to take a look into a little bit more who's Do. Who is Do, and what does Do really stand? I know what it stands for, but for the people that don't actually know you and that are listening to this podcast for the first time, what does Do stand for, and what's the meaning really behind it?
Every time I do a show for kids, I've done over 2,500 of them now. So maybe I started with 100 of them, but I started saying, guys, my name is Dwayne, but a lot of my friends call me Do. And as you can see on the screen, and you can't see it on the screen right here, but I put on a PowerPoint to show my logo. And it shows the D and the O, and it shows a hand with a mic going up through them. And it also says, defy the odds. And what I say to kids is, what does defy the odds mean to you? And then the reason why I bring that up right now is because what I love is hearing so many different answers. It's like, while you might get two the same, for the most part, it's always something different. And it just shows you what it can mean to people. And to me, it really means having a dream and being able to overcome it through a lot of obstacles. And so I take it back to how that origin story of me saying to my friends, hey guys, I want to be a rapper. And my friends saying, you can't be a rapper. You're from Canada. And when I used to say that story, everybody would laugh. But now when I say the story, teachers will laugh. But students will be like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Right. Yeah. And Drake and a host of others have shown that it's possible to be a rapper from Canada. But saying these things in 1990 or 1992 was like that's crazy. There's only one rapper, Maestro Fresh West, and is he even Canadian? Like, you just the average person didn't know. So to defy the odds to me is to overcome those challenges and obstacles. And being a Canadian rapper to this day, and being a musician in general, and surviving through a pandemic, you have to be able to defy the odds. Yeah. So it's my name. I think it can represent a lot to other people as well. And again, it's like I want to represent overcoming that struggle in my music.
Fair enough, man. And you've definitely done so very well, especially when it comes to even like the motivational speaking. Like, because I've followed, like, since meeting you, I've definitely followed you social media wise, and seeing how dedicated you are to these kids, motivating these kids to just do just that, defy the odds, be that, stand up for that person that you want to be, and believe in that person wholeheartedly, because if you don't, maybe nobody else will. So yeah. So I mean, respect you for that. It's huge, bro. When it comes to home life, my dude, what is your daily routine?
Yeah, one of the things I try to do is stick to my morning routine. It doesn't always happen. Right now, I'm trying to do like a vacation lifestyle, so it's not right on there. But I like to get up early. I like to do a brisk workout for 15, 20 minutes. I like to meditate. I like to read, and I like to journal. And I got all of that from my man, Robin Sharma, Nova Scotian, by the way, too. But successful author and speaker. And it's that morning routine, I think, is so powerful for setting your day off in the right motion. And so I try my best to avoid being on my devices early in the morning. I might check out things for a few minutes, see the sports scores, or see if there's any new big news that happened. But I try my best to avoid diving into social media for extended periods in the morning, and to just doing catching up on emails that might be urgent, but they're not as important. So I always try to focus on some of my bigger tasks in the morning. And I find that nowadays too, man, it's, I've just got back from a short mini vacation, and it's interesting that if people can't get a hold of you after one day, they get so confused. They're like, I sent you an email on Monday. I didn't hear back from you on Tuesday. Is everything okay? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm just at the water slide right now. And, when my kids tell me, Daddy, put down your phone and get in the water slide, which one am I going to pick?
Right.
Right. So it's like, what's important at that time? Or if I'm traveling and I'm out in the Netherlands at a music conference, and somebody's sending me a message, even to be somewhere else, but I'm in a conversation with you, I don't want to have to always pick up my phone and look at it. And I think that sometimes we're just too addicted to our devices and to our phones. And
yeah, you're not wrong.
And like, hey, I'm guilty of it as well. But I just think that it's so important to disconnect. And now that COVID is improving, I think it's even more important, even during COVID. But now that we're kind of able to see more people again, that it's good to have those face-to-face connections as opposed to just digital connections.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I mean, I was never a big fan of the mornings, and my girlfriend can definitely attest to that, because I'm notorious for running late, but it's mornings just never stuck with me. I mean, I'm getting used to them now, and I'm gonna have to get used to them because I got a kid on the way, So, so I'm working on it. But I mean, I've always been a night person as it is. I just find I always work better in the night. It's just how I've always been molded. So I don't know why my parents. I think my mom was a late night person. My dad was an early morning person, so I don't know where I really got it. Maybe it was my mom, but who's to say? So, like to touch on. So I know you do music. You're an author. You're a dad.
Yeah.
You're a motivational speaker. do you have a favorite pastime, or what do you like to do in your free time, if you have free time, when you're not doing music or motivational speaking or anything like that?
Yeah, I love to run. I've been jogging a lot over the last several years, and to me, it's just a great hobby as far as just getting out in nature, getting outside. So, especially over the last year with the pandemic, you're inside so much, and it's also my chance to listen to new music. So, I love making my playlists up to listen to music, and I love listening to music that fires me up. It doesn't positive music, but like I might have DaBaby as my one new song this week or something. But yeah, and just being out on the streets, and I love being in my neighborhood. Whether it's seeing kids that know me from their school and they're like, "Yo, go Dio," or and or just to challenge yourself, because I think the thing with running is you're competing against yourself.
Right.
You're not competing against anyone. So you also know if you're kind of in shape, if you're going slower, if you need to do it more. And it's very gratifying when you do break your personal records. But I've always looked at that as similar to being in music, because I'm not somebody who ever felt I had competition. I'm always competing with myself. I think I think that way because I came from smaller towns. So when I came to Toronto, the one thing I noticed was everybody wanted to be like the king of Toronto.
Right.
And then I'd start seeing things like Classified come to Toronto and sell out way more than any Toronto artist. And and then I realized, why would anyone try to compete with being the best here?
Right.
Why don't you look at Canada? Or when I started going out globally, I was like, nah, it's about being the best version of yourself. So jogging really falls into that. So I've been, like I said, I've been away for the last few days, but and then it started raining like crazy here. But I even just planned for me to get back at it tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to getting back on my jogging regimen and hitting the streets hard.
Yeah, man. Respect to that. Oh man, I've been hurting lately, not being able to go to the gym with the restrictions and all that stuff. So I'm back in there too. So yeah. I know this might be a little heavyweighted question before we get into like the last section, but favorite song of all time, no matter the genre, no matter what.
Favorite song of all time, no matter the genre. I mean, it's always tough to pick one right off the top, but one of my favorites has always been a Tupac song called Crazy.
Okay.
And what I loved about that song is he's just saying how life can be so crazy, and that, sometimes, he goes through the ups and downs, but he's just trying to relax. So I love that record, but I'm such a big Jay-Z fan too, because I find his music very motivational. So he has a song, On to the Next One. And I love that song too. And that's always one of my favorites, because I've always kind of felt like that in life. Is I never thought this would be my full-time job for 18 years. But if I didn't adapt and change, it wouldn't have been. And to me, I always find that when Jay-Z's rapping like that, he's saying the same. It's like, I'm always going to keep on moving. I'm going to keep changing. I'll keep innovating. And I just think that's such an important thing to be able to do as an artist.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Well, this is I was gonna ask you why, but I guess you dove right into that after. So I mean, it's perfect. So this last section basically just giving the listeners a little bit more fine-tuned answers, but at the same time focusing on the concept of party on a podcast, party on a Sunday.
Yeah.
With that being said, favorite Sunday jams, top 3. If you could pick your top 3 Sunday jams, what would they be? I mean, it'll always change. I know it always changes, but this time, at this point in your life right now, what would you call it?
Well, you know what? I got to give a shout out to an artist, because I grew up in so many different places, as I mentioned, but one of them is Stratford, Ontario.
Yeah.
And I've been loving my man Justin Bieber's new album.
Facts. I'm on that same boat.
So crazy. I mean, so I love Peaches, and that's that's kind of like a Sunday afternoon track.
Yeah.
I was just seeing from my playlist, what would I play on a Sunday afternoon? As I have a greatest hits playlist, so I'd also go. Love seeing this one. It's So Hard. That's another one of my favorites by Big Pun.
Yeah.
One of the most underrated artists, because he passed away early.
So yeah.
So I love that record as well. And then I'll go with Hustle and Motivate. I love that because Sunday afternoon, I don't want music too up tempo, but like at a nice pace. And Hustle and Motivate, Nipsey Hussle is another one that just puts me in the right type of mood. So like if I'm cruising around, that's my playlist that I run with, and those would be some of the songs that I play. I mean, I also love listening to some Dr. Dre though too. Let Me Ride, but the ride. But those would be a few.
Shameless plug on the mug right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Both ways too, right? I always do my interviews so stay driven. So my motivational speaking, and then I flip it around this way, give you a little
yeah. Top 5 artists. I guess for the sake of what it is, top 5 rappers of all time. In your eyes. You don't have to rank them, just your top 5.
I don't believe in top 5s.
No?
No, I'm just joking because one thing I started last year, man, was I don't know if you're aware of this, but I went on Facebook one night. I was hanging out with my friend, and I'm such a big Snoop Dogg fan. And I just went on Facebook and Twitter, and I said, if Snoop Dogg isn't in your top 5, you don't know hip hop.
I remember when you were doing this. I remember you did that for quite a few different things, didn't you?
But I couldn't believe it because, we were having a campfire that night, listening to Snoop Dogg, just kicking it. And then I looked at my phone when I woke up, and I was like 150 comments, crazy like that. And then like, there's a lot of people, I guess I don't know hip hop then.
Yeah.
He's not in my top 50. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then one day I wrote that about Mac Miller. And then people just was like, is he okay? Maybe we need Dio's. And so I find top 5 lists are so interesting that they're so polarizing. But me, a top 5 list is really about like who I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, and that's completely okay though. I mean, it doesn't have to be of all time. It's your top 5 right now.
Yeah, exactly. So top 5 right now. I've been bumping a lot of Kanye West. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to put Kanye West on there. And I think his catalog is undeniable. And I think it would be amazing if he comes back and drops something just really mind-blowing again. Because this is the longest he's gone without dropping something like crazy, right? So
yeah, that gospel record last year, and that was
which is cool, right? But but it's not him. I gotta say Nas, because Nas was the first rapper to really just show me like wow, like I want to rap like that. It was just so powerful and strong. And now looking back at his career, he's had an amazing career. Then I'd have to go with T.I. because he's a younger, well, not young, but newer generation rapper that to me always just brought out that hustle and defy that odd spirit. So now we got 3. I got 2 more left. And I'll take it to Guru from Gangstar. Because Guru, again, just a supremely talented lyricist. Yeah. But what he showed me was that you didn't have to yell. You didn't have to do a fast rap flow. Yeah. But you could just be yourself and just speak, but come across clearly. And so I thought that was really important. And then I'm looking at my favorite songs here of like all time, and I mentioned them early. Well, I guess I'm at 4 of those. So, I got to go with Tupac. So I mentioned him as well, and Tupac to me, like I said, because of that complexity and the depth. And he might not be the most technically superior rapper, but I just love that he was rapping from the heart and rapping from the soul, and you just have that feeling that he just wanted to be an artist and a better person and a better leader for his community as well. So those would be mine.
Fair and diverse at the same time. So it's good. And I mean, you tapped into the old school, you tapped into the new school. So I mean, it's good stuff, man. It's
Right. Yeah.
Stuff.
I try to.
You said like it's not necessarily of all time. It's right now. So and
yeah.
I respect that. Maybe that's what I'll change the question to. Top 5 artists right now.
Oh, so
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
I was sure if I was with Eminem too, because like I said, Eminem
honorable mention, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the thing that I hate about Eminem and the reason what frustrates me is I sometimes don't understand why he raps about like just silly stuff, like not funny stuff, but just like just it bothers me and too much just making fun of people in a wrong way. Like
yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
But like, I'm surprised he hasn't been canceled in this cancel culture for the words he's used.
They tried to him. They tried to.
So, but I still love him, and hearing him rap on that Killer remix, it's like, yeah, I just love that.
Why is it important for you to make music?
Because music's that cathartic, and it's the feeling of expression. And to me, what I love about hearing a beat that just makes me say, oh, I just want to rap over that. And it used to be I just wanted to freestyle over it and just get on the spot. But that songwriting element of, oh, what's this song saying? How is it speaking to me? What can I talk about on this song? And to reflect that aspect of your personality on it. Like I just got this new song I finished called Good Friend. And it just had this lean back way of just saying that's what it's a good friend, and I can rap about all the type of good friends I have, whether they're from the country or whether they're from the burbs, and I just love that challenge of, while it's reflecting you don't want to just make it all about yourself. You want to make sure that it's kind of universal, that so when somebody else hears it, they can feel like you were speaking directly to me. Right. And that's what I love about music.
Fair enough, man. I definitely can't hate on that. I mean, and to hear everybody's different answer on why music is so important. It's dope to hear because everybody's answer is different, but similar in the same sense.
Sure.
All right. So I do like to dive into a little this or that game, just a quick rapid fire kind of what would you rather or what would you pick kind of deal. And let's just dive right into it. So, favorite pastime or music? I know it's probably an obvious choice, but
favorite pastime? Yeah.
Or music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
I'd say music. Yeah.
When it comes to listening, underground or mainstream?
Mainstream.
When it comes to recording or making music, I guess I did not read that question right. Recording or making music or performing? The creation or performing. Okay. When it comes to listening, albums or singles?
Singles.
When it comes to creating, albums or singles?
Albums.
I like the flip. New music or classics?
Classics.
Travel or homebody?
Travel.
Morning person or night?
Morning.
We definitely touched that on that already for sure. Summer or winter?
Summertime.
Yeah. I dabble on this one just because I like to see people's answers, but fame and fortune or cult-like fan base?
Cult-like fan base.
And last but not least, the notorious Biggie or Tupac?
Yeah, it's still a tough one, even though I came out with my top 5. But
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, just like to cap off this kind of interview with everything that you've done in your career, where do you I know 5 years can sound like a long time. It can sound short term. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Doing the exact same. And well, you know why I say that, man, is because I was looking back at something I wrote, and I wrote this 10 years ago, and I wrote it to myself and just saying, like, where would I like to be in 10 years? And I was just saying to myself, I'd love to be doing this exact same thing. I'd love to be making new music.
Yep.
I'd love to be doing shows.
Yep.
I'd love to be traveling and performing. I'd love to be connecting with kids because it also allows me to tour locally and just connect directly with people. And it's like, and I love to be writing, you know, and writing new books and blogs and creating and building a business. So it's like, so in 5 years, 10 years, that's what I'd love to be doing. And so
Still doing
my
it. Yeah.
the person that I look up to is Maestro Fresh West because he's exactly 10 years older than me. And I look to him and he is kind of that blueprint that shows me it's possible. Because again, growing up, we didn't have that of a 40-year-old rapper. You know what I mean? I'm turning 43 this year. And I love that I can still do it. Whereas 10, 15 years ago, the game was saying like, yeah, Jay-Z, you want to be 38 and rapping? Like he's rapping at 40 now too. So it's like, if I can be doing this, that's what I'd love to be doing. And also helping young artists. And I think that's the key with longevity.
Yeah, man. I respect that for sure.
Yeah.
Keeping it going, man. Keeping it going. And keep it going. Please do, because it's working. It's definitely working, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Last thing before you plug anything that you got, how do you want to be perceived at the end of the day as a person more than just an artist?
You know, it's as simple as just saying Nas had that old album called I Am, and it's like I am whatever you say I am. And Eminem says that too. But what I mean by that is I like to come across as authentic because I remember meeting Guru for the first time, well, the only time. And I remember meeting him and just him saying to me, like me being nervous, but him saying like, hey, brother, what's your name? And me being like, wow, like Guru, time to get to know my name. Or meeting Chuck D from Public Enemy and me and him just talking about basketball and just being authentic. So because of the fact that I connect with so many kids, I want to be seen as somebody you could just chill out with. It didn't matter, like being unpretentious, because I think that's the key is when I'm done my show and I kick it with kids, I like to just be real with them. And I think people respect people that are humble. And, you know, when I do my shows, I talk about those 3 H's as being hungry and hustle and humble. And so I like to show people that I'm hungry, that they should also want to keep on being hungry and drive. But I also want people to know it's about hustle and that I worked hard to get to where I'm at, and that they should. And it's about being humble. And I try to be as humble as I can because that's how I learned how to be a man and how to be a decent human being. And so I'd love for people to say those 3 things about me.
Hey, if that's all you're looking for, I'm sure that can already be said, man. I'm sure it can.
I appreciate that, man.
With that being said, we've come to the end of the show. I can't thank you enough for showing up, for coming on the show. I mean, I've always wanted to chat with you just a little bit more than just about like collaborating, like I said, like we do at shows and stuff like that. So it's super dope to actually chat with you. And I know you're a busy dude, so getting any of your time is appreciated. I guess the floor is yours now. Do you have any other business ventures, side hustles, socials that you want to plug? Any new music even that you may want to let us know about, let the people know about, and where they can find you, you know?
For sure. Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I'm really looking forward to releasing my new album called Still Driven. 20 years ago this month, actually, I came out with my first professional recording, Stay Driven. So Still Driven is coming out in the fall. And I'm also releasing my new book called On This Grind, Life Lessons Learned from the Music Business. So while COVID was going down, I was writing my book. And so I'm really excited to have those 2 projects coming out. I'm looking forward to getting back on the road, bringing another episode of Northern Power Summit in the near future, and just living life, man. But I'm really looking forward to getting back on the road and touring. So that's what I've got going on. And you can find me at I am D.O. Gibson. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, IamDOGibson.com. And oh yeah.
Thank you, man. Once again, I mean, and I'll be looking forward to that album for sure. That's such a dope title. I heard you say it, and I wanted to interrupt you and say that's hype, but like I had to let you go. Still driven. That's
Right.
it's a great concept too, because I mean it plays well to previous work, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you for coming on again. I couldn't thank you enough. I hope I can get you on sometime in the near future, maybe after the album drops, and
Sure.
we'll do this all again, see where you're standing, see how the new book is doing and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you as a person, as an artist, as a clearly an inspiration to a lot of these kids, an inspiration to me, because I mean you're even showing me that it's still possible to do this stuff. And like I'm still creating my lane now. I'm 30, but I'm still creating my lane now. And
Yeah.
and it's been a long time coming, but I thank you for more than just myself, for sure.
No doubt. Nah, for sure. Well, I look forward to doing it up and again. And hey, England won, so I'm excited for the final. We'll
yes,
talk
sir.
soon.
Later, bro.
All right.
Take a shot of sunlight, drinking my hand.